हृदि निरुद्य च मूर्ध्यान ध्यायात् मनः. So the yogic situation is that detachment from the all sensual engagements. No? One establishes himself in yoga. So this is how yoga practice is done by controlling all the senses, uh, then fixing the mind on the heart and life air at the top of the head. This is how the process uh, one begins. So Prabhupada tells about system. What is a practicing yoga system? One is for pratyahar, how the pratyahara is done, and in modern time, what is its application? Prabhupada gives very clear understanding about this. So pratyahara means withdraw the senses from the sense objects, fully control the organ indriyas, the knowledge acquiring senses, and there's no sense gratification allowed in it. Mind focus fully on the super soul, life force on the top of the head. So this is pratyahar. But for the modern time, pratyahar is really difficult, To have a just control of the senses itself is also a difficult task. What to speak of focusing mind, that is another difficult task. And what to focus on mind on the super soul is another difficult task. And life air, we don't understand what is air only properly, what is life air. It's so difficult task. So Prabhupada gives pratyahar practice is impossible. Best process is to practice Krishna consciousness. Somehow fix the mind on Krishna, immediately transcendence achieved. So for Krishna consciousness movement, it is Prabhupada has made such a nice and such a easy path. We hear Prabhupada talking to a small child, and he immediately tells Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Just by hearing and he repeats, that is the perfection of his life. So it becomes very easy. Anybody who likes kirtan, like today some guests have come in our temple. Two boys are there. So they are playing nice mridanga. I was appreciating his father. They are doing wonderful. He said, yeah, they like music. So they like music and then they are just chanting Hare Krishna. That is the perfection of their life. So this is how person is becoming perfect in their practice just by coming in touch with Krishna consciousness process. Yeah. So now the next verse talks about a destination, what destination they will reach. Om ittekaksharam brahma vyaharan mam anusmaran yah prayati tyajande teham sayati paramam gatim. Would like to read?
After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the supreme personality of Godhead and quits its body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets.
Yes. So Om iti ekaksharam brahman. Vibrating the sacred syllable Om. Vyavaharan mam anusmaran. So this Om is the supreme combination of the letters. It is mentioned supreme Om syllable. A, U, Ma. A lot of technical it is there. Grammar wise, we'll not go to that. But it is transcendental vocative name for the Lord. The calling out the name of the Lord. Impersonal, we say. If you think of the supreme personality of Godhead by calling the name Om, and he quits the body, then he will reach certainly the spiritual planet after being situated. So, you see in a Vedic system, person always call out the holy name Om. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that the impersonal sound of Krishna is Om, but the sound Hare Krishna is contains Om. So Hare Krishna has Om also. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is clearly recommended by this age, for this age. So if one quits this body at the end of the life, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, he certainly reaches one of the spiritual planets. according to the mode of his practice. Mm. So, Prabhupada, do you see another place Prabhupada is mentioning the Hare Krishna Mahamantra? So, this chapter literally Prabhupada has given many places the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So, the yogi impersonalist, they may just meditate and but they will attend the impersonal Brahman. Mm. So, Om is as good as Krishna, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Therefore, devotees, by just chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, participating in the Sankirtan movement, they can take to the process and whatever stage they have, based on that, they can go to the innumerable different planets in the spiritual world. They can. This is thinking of Krishna while quitting the body. So what yogi will attain depends on his disposition. So if he's remembering Krishna, then he'll go back and back to Godhead, to the Krishna's abode. But he was thinking something else other than Krishna, he will go. But a devotee uh, also go to the Supreme Lord's abode back. Now, from 14 onwards, there is the distractions mentioned is given. How a person is trying to do meditation. If at home is trying to do, but children are playing certain situations, or the cat is coming, or the today's modern man, if he is doing, then so many thoughts are coming. This photo, if you see, this is the exactly distracted chanting. What it is, it's very nicely shown. I was saying that, uh, do my feet smell bad while meditating? Is thinking that, is that my tummy grumbling? By skates, so many different things. Anyway, so is thinking one side, Om, trying to meditate, but there are so many different thoughts distracting. So the best process is fix the mind upon Krishna in devotional service, and one can attain Krishna, or that is a perfect samadhi. Krishna will always escort us back to Godhead just by remembering Him. The next one, the 14th. Now here, Krishna is telling about the Ananya Bhakti, remembrance by practicing Ananya Bhakti, the pure devotional service, attaining Krishna by Kevala Bhakti. So we talked about three aspects about Gunibhuta Bhakti, Pradhanibhuta Bhakti, and Ananya Bhakti. So here, mm, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, having spoken of Pradhanibhuta Bhakti, bhakti mixed with the karma, mentioned into Artho Jigyasu Artharthi, and with the desire for liberation, Jara Marana Mokshaya, and also Bhakti Mishra Yoga in this chapter 9 to 13. The Lord now speaks of Kevala Bhakti, the best Bhakti, devoid of any material tinge. Ananya Chetasa Satatam, Yomam Smriti Nityashaha. So here the remembrance, pure devotional service. So Prabhupada also mentions this verse specifically describes the final destination attained by the unalloyed devotees who serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhakti Yoga. So previous verses have mentioned four different kinds of Sagam devotees. Different processes of liberations have also been described: karma, jnana, and hatha yoga. The principle of the yoga systems have some bhakti added, but the verse particularly mentions pure bhakti yoga without any mixture of jnana, karma, and hatha yoga. So here onwards, completely pure bhakti. 14, 15, 16 will talk about ananya bhakti. So this verse is Ananyachetaha satatam yomam smriti nityashah tasyaham sulabham partha nityayuktasya yogina. Please read the translation.
For one who always remembers me without
Deviation.
deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pratha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service.
So, one who always remember me without deviation, pinpointed, focused, just like Arjuna had a focus. I was seeing just ball of and that sparrow, eye of a ball of that sparrow. So similarly, Aranya Chetaha Satatam Yomam Smrati Nityashaha. Tasyaham Sulabham Partha Sulabha Partha. I am easy to be obtained, O Partha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. Because he is constantly engaged in him. So any devotee who is constantly remembering Krishna, Krishna is very easily obtainable to him. But somebody is not constantly engaged, he is intermittently engaged, then may not be easily available. So this constant remembrance is very much highlighted here. So it is said Krishna using this word sulabha is very rare here. The process is easiest to attain. So here Krishna is now emphasizing, although he's speaking about Ashtanga Yoga, but he is talking about or endorsing Bhakti Yoga than Ashtanga or Ashtanga Yoga. What one can attain in Ashtanga Yoga can be easily attained by an Bhakti Yoga, that is remembering Krishna, Krishna as a Param Purush. So sometimes some commentators they have some thoughts. They say that Prabhupada is telling uh, Ashtanga Yoga here, Bhakti Yoga. Basically, Krishna is telling Ashtanga Yoga, but Prabhupada is telling Bhakti Yoga. So actually, Krishna is giving conclusion. Krishna will speak in the last verse also, but that Prabhupada is giving in the purport now only. So that does not mean that Prabhupada is adding his own. Prabhupada Krishna's overall mood, how things are done properly and how to be understood in proper perspective. Therefore, Prabhupada gives in purport itself this proper understanding. Yeah. So here Ananya Chetaha, destination of unalloyed devotee. So if is unalloyed devotee, final destination is easily attained. No material impediments in devotional service. Krishna gives intelligence to him. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantiti. So what is the success in bhakti? If somebody is constantly engaged in the ninefold devotional service, that is very easy for him to remember Krishna and go back to Godhead. So refer pure bhakti, ananya cheta means without mixing up karma, jnana and mystic abilities. So this will come eventually when person practices bhakti yoga under the guidance of the spiritual master. So his desires will also get purified. His karma tendencies, jnana tendencies, or mystic abilities, yoga tendencies, karma, jnana, yoga, all will get purified when person focuses on serving the lotus feet of spiritual master. Therefore, we say, Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Kevala Bhakti means Ananya Bhakti. Only desire is to serve Krishna for his pleasure, not for his own pleasure. And that should be Satatam, Nityashaha. Your devotee is constantly remember Krishna. Meditating on this means the Lord's attention. So, such a devotee who are always remembering Krishna, they also create remembrance of Krishna everywhere. Prabhupada gives example of Advaita Acharya telling, my dear Lord, wherever America, but he was always remembering Vrindavan. And in fact, he created a Vrindavan in America also. Otherwise, how the hippies got attracted to the devotion? service. Uh, he created the Vrindavan environment there because he carried Vrindavan with him. And in that Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
somehow I'm not able to hear you all. I think my connection is creating a lot of disturbance here. So Wi-Fi was Hare Krishna.
Hare
Now
Krishna.
it's clear. Now it's clear.
Now it's clear.
Yes.
Yes,
I'll,
yes, yes.
I'll switch off my video also.
Yes.
So you could hear me. Uh, Hare Krishna.
Yes,
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 Prabhuji.
we can hear you.
Yeah, but I'm getting disconnected again and again. I don't know why. The connection shows that it is proper here. Okay, you all can see my application properly. Okay. So I was talking about how Srila Prabhupada, he was remembering Krishna, Satatam Nityashaha, and then he could take the Vrindavan to the America, and the people in America also were able to remember Krishna and practice, although it is a very foreign understanding for them, Krishna and Krishna consciousness, spiritual world, and based on the Vedic literature, but still they could appreciate and accept. So pure devotees are the great carrier of mm, spiritual world from one place to another place for the people in general. Okay. So now 15th one talks about there is a no rebirth for pure devotees. One who remembers Krishna and goes back, for him there is no rebirth. Okay, I didn't speak about these aspects. Time to understand. Here, material destiny cannot be appreciably changed, but spiritual progress cannot be checked. So person may be materially progressive, but he meets at a time of death and he becomes zero, again goes to the further heights and again come back. But in spiritual progress, person is growing very systematically. Hmm. On the platform of soul, one's progress towards the God cannot be checked by anything, by uh, janma, karma, or vidya, or education, property, poverty, anything. So we have different examples from Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran that how even as a elephant, Gajendra got perfection in his life. Jatayu as an eagle also got a perfection. Dhruva mere child got a perfection. So there's a chance to advance towards the God and pure devotional services. One can easily advance in Bhagavad Bhakti. So this Kevala Bhakti and Pradhanibhuta Bhakti and Gunibhuta Bhakti. We saw last time. Shuddha Bhakti is 100%. What happens to that person who attends you? That is that further aspect of no rebirth for a pure devotee. मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयम शाश्वतम नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गतः. Translation.
After attaining me,
Yes, Guru.
great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection.
Yes. Mam upetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So, who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries. Why? Because they have attained the highest perfection. Some siddhi paramam gata. After attaining mamupetya, they have attained the highest perfection, so they will never come. The great souls will never come, return to this material world again. So this is a hint. Prabhupada very clearly tells that one will go back to Godhead, not anywhere in between. One is remembering Krishna, so will certainly go back to Godhead. Here it is mentioned that Paramam Gati means the supreme about the abode of the Lord. So here Krishna is speaking about his abode is Paramam Gati means little indirectly. And is not directly focusing on telling that my place, which he will tell further. He will clarify that aspect. But right now is because he's a yogi doesn't know what is the further destination, where it is going. So Paramam Gati, highest destination you will get. That's what Krishna is telling. Those who don't want to come to me have to go to the material world, but who come to me don't have to go to the material world. So Krishna gives this Paramam Gati understanding very clearly. In the purport also Prabhupada says, the Mahatmas receives transcendental message from the realized soul and thus gradually develop devotional service in Krishna consciousness and become so absorbed in transcendental service that they no longer desire elevation to any of the material planets, nor do they even want to be transferred to the any spiritual planet. They want only Krishna and Krishna's association and nothing else. That is the highest perfection of life. So this verse specifically mentions the personalist devotees of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So Prabhupada says that they are so personalizedly attached to Krishna that they don't want anything. They are just concerned about having Krishna as their focus, their meditation. The pure devotee never return to this material world. So by Bhakti Yogi, Krishna directly, the highest perfection, never falls from the highest Vaikuntha planet, and no return to the temporary world, which is full of misery. So here the description of Mahatma is given. Receive in parampara, they receive transcendental message from the realized devotee. That's how they are connected. And they are also they show the gradual development, gradual devotional service in Krishna consciousness, and highest absorption. They get so absorbed that no desire for any elevation, any material spiritual planets. Their only desire is want Krishna and Krishna's satisfaction and nothing else. Paramam Gati, the supreme destination. And also Avyakta and Akshara. The abode, Vedic literature talks about the spiritual supreme planet of the Lord as Avyakta, because it is not manifest to our eyes. Akshara, it is infallible, planet beyond the material vision and inexplicable. That is Paramam Gati. So here are the examples given in the scriptures how the devotees they have gone back and back to Godhead. We hear about Dhruva Maharaj by perfecting his yoga sadhana, bhakti yoga, ashtanga yoga, of course, and then because it was guided by Narada Muni himself, he was completely absorbed not on the process of yoga but on the holy name of the Lord, and that's how he perfected his life. Ajamila also, uh, by intervention of the holy name in his life, which he called very helplessly. We hear he also going back and back to Godhead. We hear about Gopakumar returns to the spiritual world. Gajendra going back to the spiritual world. King Pruthu and Archu also going to the spiritual world. So, no return. If somebody goes back and back to Godhead, then he will never come back to this material world. If he is sincerely remembering and constantly engaged in Krishna's service. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, all jivas takes birth even if they have a great punya. But my devotees do not take such birth even in the inhabitants of the planet of Brahma take rebirth. So, speciality of the devotees told. No? The inhabitants of Brahmaloka may also take birth, but my devotees will never take birth. Therefore, the next verse talks about A Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartyana Arjuna Mamupetya tu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. Quick translation.
All are traces of misery, where a repeated birth and death take place, but one attains to my own Kunti never takes birth again.
Would everybody hear properly?
No, Prabhuji.
No, no. Yeah, maybe somebody else can read.
From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all the places of misery wherein this repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again.
Yes. So, from the highest planet in the material world, people are looking for perfection in this material world, trying to go to the Swarga Loka. But even above the Swarga, somebody go to the Brahma Loka. Or even if somebody goes to the down, the lowest part, all places where they are the places of repeated birth and death, they take place and there are a lot of miseries. But one who attains, he never takes birth again. But here, in this material world, everybody will have to uh, come back again in this material world. So Krishna has given two paths. If he is remembering Krishna, then he'll go back to Krishna. And if he don't remember Krishna, then he'll come back. He'll come back to this material world. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that one goes to the spiritual world from Brahma Loka. That is only for those who practice pure devotional service, not for anyone like Indra enjoying the opulence of heavenly world. Can't be expected to go to the spiritual world. So in Brahmaloka, people are there at the time of annihilation. From Brahmaloka also, those who are perfected level being, they will go back and back to it. They are remembering Krishna, they will go back and back to it. Not that everybody in the spiritual, heavenly planets, heavenly abode, will go back and back to Godhead. Why? Because there is so much of bhoga, the remembrance of Krishna is very, very less. People can't remember Krishna. It is said, somebody is in spiritual world like Indra, and Indra has so many duties there. He has to accept the all sacrifices uh, are meant for part of it meant for Indra, and the benefit of that sacrifices. And he has to attend the assemblies. He has to see the demigods and the Gandharvas and other Kinnaras and Apsaras. They are dancing. So much of absorption is in the other activities that person will not have that impetus to remember Krishna. It is said like you have a nice Mahabhoga, Mahaprasadam plate in front of you, and you're sitting and you're supposed to read Bhagavatam very attentively. Very difficult. Or you're supposed to chant. Very difficult. Because constant meditation will not be in the Bhagavatam reading or chanting, but constant remembrance will be what kind of taste this prasadam is made. Seems to be a little new item, that is beautiful item, something tasty item like that. So a lot of distraction will be there in one's consciousness. One will not be able to see it also. So, Brahma Bhuvana Loka. How to attain? Krishna consciousness is the must if you want to go to Krishna's abode. Material planets. Planets to the lowest is the place of birth, death, old age, and disease, all the whole material world. But one can go to Brahmaloka also, higher planetary system. Prabhupada mentions by Panchagni Vidya, the sacrifice that is mentioned in Chandogya Upanishad. So there are some certain sacrifices. If you perform that sacrifice, then you attain the highest planet, that is Brahma's planet. So what about the heavenly planets? Same rule apply. What is the fate on the Brahmaloka? If we do not cultivate Krishna consciousness there, we must return back. If we have one may be in Brahmaloka also, but he is not Krishna consciousness, then again after some time he'll come back. So by Krishna consciousness can gradually elevate the higher and higher planets and go to the spiritual sky. When a perfect in Krishna consciousness at universal devastation, person goes back and back to Godhead. So from now 17 onwards till 22nd, the remembrance is only focused, but in terms of trying to understand what is the futility of the material world and what is the permanence of the spiritual world. So now analysis is given of this temporary material world and eternal spiritual world. Because when person analyzes thoroughly what is temporary world, temporality of the material world, then it has become very easy for him to focus his mind on Krishna. Then for him the goal is become very clear that okay, anyway, this place is temporary now, I can't be here for longer period of time. So he focus on the eternal realities. And the whole creation, Prabhupada says that it is like a bubble in the ocean or a lightning flash. Uh, Actually, if you see, our life is not a lightning flash or it's a small bubble. We are experiencing, we are spending 20, 30, 40, 50 years now. So every moment is such a thing and we are so absorbed in our activities. We don't feel like it. But when we consider the eternality, now we'll see how Brahma's dates. When we consider to that domain, that size, that length of the life, then our life is very insignificant. So the next verse talks about Brahma's day. So here 17, 18, 19, in this material world, living entities appear during each millennium, year, long day after Brahma, and are vanquished during each night. So it is spoken in this material temporary nature. But 20 to 22, this talks about beyond the manifest and unmanifest nature of the material world is the supreme spiritual abode, which is eternal, transcendental, and infallible. Once having gone there, one never returns. Although the Lord is all pervading, he is present in that abode and attainable by unalloyed devotion. Sorry. सहस्रयुग पर्यन्तम् अहर्यद् ब्रह्मणो विदुः रात्रिं युग सहस्रान्तां तेहो रात्रविदो जनः. Yes, please read.
By human
By
calculation,
him.
by human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night.
The yuga word is sahastra yuga paryantram. One yuga also, and here it is sahastra yuga. 1,000 ages taken together from the duration of Brahma's one day, and such is also duration of his night also. So one yuga does not necessarily mean one Kali Yuga, but it is like one Divya Yuga, mentioning Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali. Like that, and that thousand together, when they are moving, that is Brahma's one day. So Brahma is here, we are seeing, meditating. Surya is there, all luminaries are there, stars are there. There's Mahavishnu is there from his body. All things are coming out. And in that Garbhodaksha ocean is there. In that Mahavishnu is there. Garbhodaksha Vishnu is there. From his navel, Brahma is coming out. Like that. You see. So here, Brahma's day you can see. This is from the creation to the full devastation of the universe. In that one day of Brahma, that is called as Kalpa, the day of Brahma. 4.32 billion years, 14 Manvantras and 15 Sandhyas. Night is the same length. So this night till night, in that one full day, if you consider, in that take only one small period that is called as one Manvantar. So how many Manvantaras are there? 14 Manvantaras are there. 14 spans of his life of one day is there. And that Manvantara again, if you take one of that Divya Yuga, so how many million years? 71 Divya Yugas are there in one Manvantara. So if you take one aspect of one Divya Yuga, so that has got Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. And Kali Yuga also goes for 4,32,000 years. Out of that, our life is somewhere between 1,100 years here, one dot. So if you consider this one dot from here, you see what is Divya Yuga. This big Divya Yuga, 4.32 million years, completing four, that is one Manvantar, if you say 71 times. And that one Manvantar, it is 14 times of one Manvantar is like one day of Brahma. And then Brahma lives like that for 100 years. So how long is the Brahma's life? Here it is mentions 311 trillion and 40 billion years from the human calculation. Is amazingly long. It's like eternity for all of us. So compared to the eternity is like a lightning flash. Causal ocean has innumerable bubbles. Brahmas like bubbles in the Atlantic Ocean. So Brahmaloka compared to the material planet is not free from birth, disease, old age, and death. So although it is such a heavenly planet, such a long duration, but still it is full of all these uh, problems of death, old age. And old age, of course, in heavenly planet, old age is not there, but person dies. He has always fear, constant anxiety. That Brahmaji has a constant anxiety of maintaining the whole universe. Indra has a constant anxiety of when other devtas or danavas were going to attack on him. So that is the nature of the material world. But the fate of Brahma is because that is a service given by the Lord to him. He gets liberation at the end of his life. This is the description of one Brahma's day. So the next two verses talks about material world in its manifest stage and unmanifest stage. We just discussed this. So those who are less advanced than the above mentioned person, the inhabitants of Swargoloka, Earth, and the lower planets will meet destruction in each day of Brahma. So those who are in advanced, they will remain in the upper planetary system, and they will also go back to Godhead if they are perfect in Krishna consciousness. But inhabitants of Swarga, Earth, and the lower planets will meet destruction in each day of Brahma. So that is mentioned here. अव्यक्तात् व्यक्तया सर्वाः प्रभवन्त्यहरागमे रात्र्यागमे प्रलीयन्ते तत्रैवाव्यक्तसंज्ञके. Please raise your hand. Yes, Vishal.
At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again.
Yes. So unmanifest stage is there, where whole creation is at the day of Brahma. This is in the water, actually completely in water stage. Everything is full. The whole Brahmand is filled with water, and they go in unmanifest because nothing is there, no creation is there. Everything is in a water form. But when uh, night goes and next day comes, again they are manifested. So all being at Brahma's day, all being entities comes to manifest in the daytime and becomes unmanifest towards the night. They merge into the manifest again. So if you see here, Pralaya, is Brahmaji sitting in whole Pralaya around. I think this Markandeya Rishi mentioned shown here. So it's very difficult to understand the cosmic. So days Brahma's day is like at the beginning of the Brahma's day, living entities become manifest. So nice joy is there, things are moving forward, life is there, sun is there. But at night, it's all dark, merged into the this is cyclic creation. So Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Marnam. Every day, whole process starts for Brahmaji. It starts and it ends. So actually, in the material world, substance is eternal, but the form is changing. And if we are attached to the form, then we suffer. So if somebody is attached to certain forms of his house or his beloved ones or his belongings, because they are going to change. They are going to change with the passage of time. So therefore, one has to be very careful on focusing on the substance that what is eternal, but not on the forms. Because as long as we are attached to the forms, different forms, then one person suffers. So one should be attached to the transcendental form, not on the forms in the material world. So transcendental form of the Lord is Venum Panantam Arvinda Dalayataksam Barhavata Bhaksita Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpakotikamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajam. About the spiritual world and spiritual personality like Lord Krishna, if we are focusing on that, attached to that, then that gives a source of permanent happiness. But in the material world, all different forms which manifest, they all are all temporary, and because we are one person becomes attached to that, he becomes completely disturbed in his life. Yeah. So, but if they all disappear, they may not appear again. This fear arises from the logic that one being destroyed, a thing will not manifest again. This verse refutes that idea. Well, the name, it will manifest again. भूतग्राम स एवायं भूत्वा भूत्वा प्रलीयते रात्र्यागम विषय वशः पार्थ प्रभवन्ते हरागमे. This is the hand translation. Pratik Prabhu.
Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated.
Yes. Again and again. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. Evayam sa evayam bhutva bhutva praliyate. Bhutagram. When Brahma's day arrives, all living entities comes into being, and when the arrival of Brahma's night, they all are helplessly annihilated. So here you see this chakra, very nicely graphically mentioned here. All different species of life, the animal species, the plant species, and the human species. That whole chakra is going on again and again and again. Brahmaji's day comes, things are going on. It's not there, then everybody is gone into the unmanifested. And this is how things are happening, this material creation. So, point highlighted here is avashaha. Avasha means beyond our control. Things are beyond our control. Civilizations are there, they are based things are moving forward in this creation. People have so many big plans to make everything happens very nicely, but things are not in our control. Recently, we heard about uh, the most glamorous world was on fire in Los Angeles. There's big fire, and whole American government they were trying to stop that fire, but the air was so powerfully blowing, and everything was getting destroyed, completely destroyed into ashes. So much of loss. So even the topmost celebrities with their all opulences, with all their technology, with all the money, with all the fame they have in this material world, they were helpless. Uh, so this is how material world is so helpless situation. Therefore, we are not avashah partha. Pratyagame avashah partha. Hmm. Hey Parth, uh, automatically, without one's own control, uh, you will get into the dissolutions again. So when the short lifespan is there, we get to see so many differences. Who's having more, who's having less, who's having very high position in the society, who's very low in the society, and so many things actually. Based on the economic status, there are so many things, and people are running business based on that. The car businesses, those people are different status, who can purchase car of 5 lakh, who can purchase of 7 lakh, who can purchase of 9 lakh. So companies actually do dispositioning of their car based on the economic status also, कि ये इनकम वाले लोग हैं, इनको ये ऐसी कार सुविधा फिट करनी है. So in that small quantity, how can you get that facility what is desired in that particular strata? So like that, people are so focused on trying to make business on the differences of one is having less, one is having more, one is having big, one is having less, like that. And people also get too much carried with that, impressions of impressing others. I have a big car, you have a small car. I have a big house, you have a small house. I own such a big post, you own such a small post. So all these things which are actually, when we think about our short lifespan of our life, but when we think of a bigger lifespan, then it appears to be completely, "Arey, what nonsense you are talking about? Talk something, everything is going to, vanish." So just by like this, temporarily focusing on the temporality of this material world, person can uh, actually focus on the remembrance of Krishna. Krishna is supreme, eternal. Hmm. So the next section, the same section, but the next verse onwards, 20th onwards, will cover as per others Prabhu's schedule, wherever it guides us. So we'll stop here for today. If you have any question, we can try to take one. I think there's a chat. What chat says? Okay, others who has sent some link. Spreadsheet, okay, for attendance seems. So Dhananjay Prabhu has some question. You can ask Dhananjay Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my question is that we just discussed that the life of Brahma is like 311 trillion years. And we our lives are very, very small as compared to them. But do Brahma experience, I mean, for them, the experience is also of like 311 trillion years only? Or is this time relative that we feel like that it is 311 trillion years, but for them it might be a small span of 100 years only? I mean, like that. Is this relative, or is that numerically 311 trillion years what Brahma experiences?
It is numerically for us properly with understanding 311 trillion and 40 billion years. And for Brahmaji, but it is normal. Just like for us, our life is, we feel that it is short only. 100 saal hai,
Yes, Prabhuji.
right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
But for Brahmaji also same thing, because Brahmaji has a Herculean task of creating whole creation, no?
Yes, Prabhuji.
And giving every living entity their place, position, their desire to be fulfilled. Such a big service is there. So he doesn't feel that it is too big period. For him, it is the same period. Just like for us, we have 100 years, like that, Brahmaji also has 100 years. And like that, Indragop or the rainy season small flies, they take birth in the night at 7 o'clock.
Yes,
And
Prabhuji.
by morning 6 o'clock, they are died also. And their offerings also come on the existence and they also die.
Hmm.
So it is relative. And at that place, when a person or the living entity in that situation feels it is like normal for him.
Oh, got it, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. So, okay, Yadav says true.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji, for wonderful
Pranam.
class.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, one thing I wanted to ask Prabhuji, one doubt I had. Prabhuji, like we discussed, like Lord is cannot be described in words. We cannot, and Prabhuji, we also read in Vedas, means that I'm not able to comprehend the exact citation. That Lord is anirvachani. So, Prabhuji,
Anirvachaniya.
Prabhuji, if words cannot describe Lord, then how we are describing Lord in such a personal way by using words only? Like how is spiritual world and how is Lord Krishna, Prabhuji. So these two things, Prabhuji, I wanted to understand, Prabhuji. How Lord is anirvachani, but also at the same time we are describing also Lord by using words.
So, Anirvachaniya, what does it mean? Anirvachaniya means we cannot describe the Lord. Actually, Lord is such a great, just like now we see what we just saw about Brahma. In fact, Brahma himself is such a ununderstandable for us. Like if you are told to glorify a great person in this earthly planet, let us say somebody very very rich man. So we say no, we fall words short to describe. So our capacity is not only like that. So in that way, for a living entity, Lord's existence is such a ununderstandable. He just can't glorify enough. He can't fit the Lord in his words. So in that sense, it is anirvachani. He can't. He is beyond that. But uh, the transcendental sound vibration, that is not the same. So they transcendental sound vibration tells us what we can understand the Lord at our level. So anirvachaniya means cannot be spoken in the material perspective, but in spiritual perspective, he is understandable. In spiritual words also, it is very difficult to understand. Even in the Vedas also, Lord is very difficult to understand. Therefore, bhaktya tu ananyaya shaktya. It is only possible by devotion. Even Brahma Samhita says, no, Panthastu koti satavatsara sampragamyo vayo rathapi manaso muni pungavanam. So all the great rishis and munis, they are traveling with the speed of mind and they are trying to understand, but still they are not able to understand. Even in the Vedic fold also it is not able to understand. But soप्यस्यत् प्रपंचित अविचिंत तत्वे गोविंदमादि पुरुषम तमहं भजामि. Or the same Krishna becomes understandable or relatable to Mother Yashoda because of her unalloyed devotion service. So in a material aspect also, even in a Vedic aspect also, Krishna is far beyond the reach. Therefore, uh, Upanishad speaks about taddure tadvantike tadu antarasya bayasya. No? That verse talks about how Krishna is very near, also very far away also. So in that way, Krishna is very difficult to understand. But one who has bhakti, uh, one who hears the Bhagavad Gita from a pure devotee because he has a bhakti in his heart, then Krishna becomes understandable to us. It becomes a reality for us. Otherwise, even the same Bhagavad Gita, what we are reading right now, if you don't have Prabhupada purports, it becomes whole bewildering. Because Prabhupada's devotion is there, Prabhupada's devotion is coming in the parampara, and therefore Krishna is able to, we are able to understand Krishna, who he is, what he is. Does that give some understanding? Yadav says true.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. I got it.
Okay, thank you. Shivavish Prabhu,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Rantidev Prabhu.
Uh, Priji, like one thing I want to ask from Bhagavad Gita 8.10, Priji.
8.10, huh?
Yes, Priji.
Okay.
So in 8.10, in translation, like he one who at the time of death fixes his life here between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an undeviating mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion will certainly attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So
Right.
Priji, in a part, Lord is telling ki we have to fix our life here in between eyebrows. So all this activity we have to do. And in second part, Lord is telling he engage himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion.
Yes.
Really, if one will engage himself, his mind fully in full devotion with Krishna, so Priti, automatically, then what is the requirement of this first part, Priti?
Yeah, first part is required because you have so many desires, no? See, every aspect, either karma, jnana, or bhakti, all of them are incomplete in itself without bhakti yoga. Unless they don't have bhakti yoga connection, they'll not be able to uh, perfect that path also. One cannot become perfect through karma yoga. One cannot become perfect through jnana yoga. One cannot become perfect through ashtanga yoga also, unless they don't have some part of devotion in their life. So without devotion, it becomes incomplete. Therefore, it is a progressive path, yoga ladder, no? Karma culminates into jnana, jnana culminates into ashtanga or dhyana, and that culminates into the bhakti. So therefore, this Ashtanga Yoga, what it talks about Shat Chakra, if he brings if he controls everything, let us say he has controlled his mind, his senses, then he controlled his mind, he controlled his life here also, and he raised that up from the Muladhara Chakra to the Swadhisth, which is the topmost chakra, and the topmost chakra, uh, सहस्त्र चक्र, मतलब आईब्रोज एंड आईब्रोज के ऊपर माथे तक के भी लेके आता है उसको, but when he has a power, he can break open his skull also. And then when soul is living, but at that time, if the soul thinks about something material, whole time is lost. He will again become in the material world only. He has controlled his mind senses so much, just like we hear in case of course, not a same example. Ashtanga Yoga example is not there. It's the example of Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj was engaged, but at the time of death, he thought of deer and he became deer. Yam yam vapismaran bhavate jantante kalevaram. So therefore, he has to have an understanding. If he has a devotion, then he will have a remembrance of Paramatma in his heart. If he doesn't have devotion, then he will remember the Virat Purush of the Lord, Virat Purush form of the Lord. He will meditate on that. That the impure yogis, when they control their mind and senses, and they are not completely purified, they think about their dhyanashra is told as the whole material creation, how the Lord is pervaded everywhere. But he is purified one, then he thinks about Paramatma in the heart, and then he can perfect his life. Does that give some understanding?
Yes, Priji, just one clearance I
Small
want.
clarification.
Yes, Priji.
Uh,
So, like, suppose that Priji, if one is not doing, if one is trying to do this bhakti yoga only,
uh,
then the requirement of first is there or not?
No, not all, not required at all. That's what Krishna is going to progressively tell. No, now